Keep yourself in the loop of everything football. Listen to Alex and Jeremiah on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Hello there, I'm Jeremiah.
I am Alex, always and forever here.
Dedicated to college and NFL football. The latest football news on and off the field. NFL draft trade rumors. We've got you covered from the NFL, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC, and everything else in between. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we talk the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football, from the latest signings to this year's breakout stars and all the news in between. As always, I'm Jeremiah.
Hey, as always, I'm Alex.
I like that. Hey.
Hey, man.
You there.
I'm excited for this show. You
Yeah,
excited for this
man.
show?
We are previewing the FBS Division I Independents.
Yep.
Today, we're going to talk about Notre Dame, UMass, who joined as an independent this year.
Yep.
Army
BYU.
and BYU. I always forget BYU. I don't know why, but
It's okay.
But we are going to talk about these four teams in depth. So yeah,
You pretty excited?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. This was a fun. This is probably the most. I'm not gonna lie, it's the easiest show to prepare for because there's less teams to talk about.
In a sense, yeah.
But it's still fun because we get to talk football. So
yeah, and college football is always fun to talk about too.
all right. So did you want to start first? Like,
No,
did you?
no. You're gonna do it because
I'm
you
gonna
were
do it?
so excited about doing it.
Okay. So
I'm gonna let you do it because you want to get it. You're gonna get
all right.
in depth on these.
I am going to start off from the teams that I think are going to do worse to the teams that are going to do better. So I'm going to start off
You're gonna go from below to top. You're gonna go from 4 to 1.
4-1.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going to start talking about Massachusetts Minutemen.
All right.
Massachusetts Minutemen. Yes, they finished 3-9 last season overall, 2-6 in the Mid-Atlantic Conference, and they were last in the East Division. Brutal season. They were competitive most games though. They lost 7. They competitive most games that they lost last season.
Okay.
The 19 starters did return in 2015, so people thought they were very experienced. They're going to have a better year. Apparently that wasn't the case, as they did lose 9 games, only won 3. They only this season though. Only this season there's 6 starters returning total, and there's some notable departures, as a Taji Sharp, who is unbelievable receiver for that program.
Yep.
He had 111 receptions, 1,319 yards receiving. Very inexperienced offense coming into this season, with 3 of their 6 starters on that side of the ball. But they do have running back Marquise Young. He's expected to be the workhorse of the offense. He had 960 yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground. 7 touchdowns on the ground. This guy was a beast for the Minutemen last year. They got junior college transfer Andrew Ford. He's expected to start out running back. He redshirted for Virginia Tech as a freshman and was a 4-star recruit in high school. So he's expected to take over Whipple's offense over there.
Okay.
But getting back to UMass coach Mark Whipple, he has a history of starting transfers in his first 2 stints with the Minutemen. So that means, Ford has a chance to, emerge himself as a starter there as we're approaching August now. But the O-line's in pretty good shape. They will have 3 starters returning. 3 starters returning on that O-line.
Yeah, 3 seniors, I believe, too.
Yeah. And the thing, though, the departure of Taji Sharp, it is really going to hurt that offense because he was such a dynamic player for them last year. It's going to be hard to replace him. It's hard to replace any player when you're in college football. You just got to find the guy that, executes. It's like the next man up kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Jalen Williams is expected to be a key part of the offense as a receiver after missing last season with a leg injury. But this is, I think, the player to watch on offense on this team is Travis Reynolds, the Australian tight end. He's expected to have a big role in Whipple's offense because Whipple loves pass catching.
Pass catching.
There it is. What did I say?
Pass catching?
Oh, did I? Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Pass catching tight end, and his 6'5" frame.
He's a big dude.
Big dude. Big dude. And he can fill that role.
Okay.
And wow. And talking about their defense now, that was a lot. That was a lot more.
He had a lot to say, man.
I had a lot to say. And then on defense now, the Minutemen were in the bottom third of the MAC scoring defense
Yes,
at
they were.
31.4 points a game. And total defense at 447.8. It's like, man, that was just absurd, man. Absurd numbers.
A lot of numbers.
Yeah, the lead tackler, Shane Huber, is returning. He's expected to take over at the inside linebacker spot for all-conference linebacker Jovan Santos-Knox. Corey Bailey Smith is returning after a season knee injury last year.
Yeah.
So that's a big...
He missed the entire year.
Yeah, big addition for him. I had a player to watch on offense, but the player to watch on defense is Ali Musa.
Well, that's quite a name.
That is a name. Best name on that team. He's a player to watch because he's expected to spark the pass rush alongside Shakai Halonis. I hope I'm
That's
quite a name.
That's how I would say that name. That's how I would.
Whoa. Nah.
Yeah.
But UMass finished 12th out of 15 last season when they're in the MAC. At second to quarterback with only 15.
Yeah, 15
only
all
15,
year.
Yes, 15 all year.
Oh.
Dang. So with the young roster, 6 road games and 4 different time zones, 3 games against the SEC, at Florida, at South Carolina, and Mississippi State at home, that provides a daunting task to produce a winning product on the field. And I have them finishing at 3-9.
Again.
Or 1-11. So
that's a tough one.
It's a tough. It's a tough season for these guys.
I mean, not only do they play three SEC teams, you said they also play at home against Boston College, but it's in Gillette Stadium, so it's more of a neutral. I don't know if Boston College plays there normally, but they play Boston College week 2. Like we said, they have Mississippi State. They have Louisiana Tech to play. That not bad, but they have South Carolina also. Not to mention they played their last 2 games against BYU and Hawaii. It's an up-and-coming team, and they're always around there. The last game
at Hawaii, though, that might be kind of tough because of that time difference.
Yeah, playing in Hawaii. I mean, it's
like I said, they play
change,
in 4 different time zones this year, and that's difficult to do in any league when you're in a high school.
College, NFL doesn't matter.
Anything, no matter. It's tough. Especially
I don't know what high school teams would do that.
No, they don't do that often. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
They don't do that often, which I don't think they should. But yeah, it's tough for a young team like that to play in those conditions, especially with the opponents. They got Florida week 1, Boston College week 2. That's 2 really tough games right there.
Mississippi State week 4.
Yes,
that's arguably that's
a tough.
That's 3 losses depending on how they play FIU. They could be 0-4.
Technically, yeah, they can. So it's not looking good for the Minutemen this year.
That's a tough schedule.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's move on to your number 2, and I believe it's Army Black Knights, yes?
Yes.
I should say your number 3.
Number 3, my number 3.
You're going in descending.
Yes. You want me to dissect this Army Black Knights here?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Well, for the Army, Black Knights last year, quarterback was a huge problem because injuries occurred a lot. It's just no one could stay healthy at that position. No one can stay healthy. They play 3 starters. The Black Knights went to a full-blown running back by committee. 5 guys rushing for at least 200 yards last season. Jordan Osbury and Christian Drake, they could be the leaders in the backfield this season. They could do that this season. Edgar Poe, who led the team in receptions with 16. Yes, 16 receptions. He had 6 touchdowns last season. So
6 on 16 receptions, man.
Yeah, so 16 receptions and 6 touchdowns. He is coming back. So that is their offense. Their defense. Their defense is actually pretty solid. They finished 47 in total defense in the nation, which is not that bad if you think about it. Senior linebackers Andrew King and Jeremy Tempa. I think that's how you say his name, Tim?
I'm sure
you're tied
right.
for the team lead in 92 tackles last season. So they got those guys coming back. King was the dominant, though. 16.5 tackles for loss as well.
Wow.
Yes. So they got that's a big addition, big return, as I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Unkerman and Kenneth Brinston, they also bring experience to the outside linebacker position, starting a combined 14 games last season on the outside. So they have a pretty solid linebacking core there coming into this season. Other returns on defense include the defensive end John Voight, senior defensive end Jordan Smith, cornerback Brandon Jackson. He was a team leader last year with 3 interceptions. Safety Xavier Moss. He was converted from receiver to the secondary last season, and it was bode well for him. And so they lost 7 games last season by 7 points or less. So they could have had the 2-10 record last season could have been so much better. So much better. They could have easily been like 9-4.
I could dig on that.
They could have easily, because they lost 7 games by 7 points or less. And so with more experience from the youth of the squad, because all these guys were freshmen and sophomores last year on several key positions, Army could actually make a realistic run at a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and some of the teams that they play 2 FCS opponents, 4 group of 5 teams that finished 500 or below, which are Rice, UTEP, Buffalo, and North Texas. So 6-6 is my final prediction, and I really do think the Army Black Knights will contend for a bowl game.
Yeah, I have them taking a huge step forward, and I'll get into that a little bit more with my dissection of them as well. We're going to take our first break here to break stuff up here, and we'll do your second 2 teams, and I'll go through mine a little quicker, just to update on how kind of I have a feeling we're going to have our same not from descent, bottom to top, the same, but order-wise. Yeah. But we'll take a quick break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. Be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where Jeremiah and I are discussing and predicting and previewing the FBS Independents today. So Jeremiah can continue, having previously just done UMass and the Army Black Knights. Go ahead and give us your next on the list.
Yeah, my next on the list is the BYU Cougars. Yes, BYU is coming into this season after going 7-1 before their bowl game loss to Utah last year. But the Cougars are faced with arguably the toughest schedule in a program. Mm-hmm.
This thing is brutal.
It is brutal right off the start.
You got 3 straight Pac-12s.
3 straight Pac-12s. Ooh. Arizona, Utah on the road, and UCLA. After that, they're at home against West Virginia.
That's 4 hard games.
That's 4. They can start off easily 0-4.
And then Toledo's not exactly a breakdown, run over win.
But they can compete well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
then they have the monster.
Yes. I remember this is a team that has desire to join the Big 12. This is a team. So I think if they have a successful season, I think it's a real possibility that they can join that conference.
I think so.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to BYU here, they got 2 solid quarterbacks coming back. Tanner Magnum, who was pretty good last year, actually. Pretty good. Taysom Hill. Magnum passed for 3,377 yards, 23 touchdowns, and was a hero in wins against Nebraska and Boise State with touchdowns in the final minutes in each of those 2 games. Those were 2 really great wins that they had last year.
Against good teams.
Yeah, those are fun games, too, that they played in. And the offense is transitioning to a pro style. It's transitioning to pro style, I guess, to fit the quarterbacks they have on the roster.
Excuse me. Okay.
Williams, the running back, is he rushed for 1,000, and Jamal Williams, that is, I forgot to say his first name, rushed for 1,233 yards, first full season, 2013. He needs, he was hurt last season. He only needs 929 yards to break BYU's career rushing record, which I think is very realistic. Mm-hmm. But the only thing about this BYU offense is they lacked a lot of receiving depth. So I think it's all pretty much going to be on the hands of whoever starts quarterback. I think Magnum is probably going to be the starter this season.
Okay.
But moving on to their defense.
All right, let's hear about it.
They're moving to a 4-3 scheme. BYU's coaching staff, they list co-stars at all four defensive line positions. Mm-hmm. Francis Bernard, transitioning from running back to linebacker. They're hopefully think he'll have the same success transitioning to the position like Harvey Longy, who is at inside. So Bernard will also be at the outside with Fred Warner. So that they have those three at linebacker.
Okay.
And Michael Davis is returning also in the secondary. And Trey Warner or Kyle Davis will have to develop quickly in the secondary as well if this team wants to have success, especially with the brutal schedule. So the Cougars face 6 Power 5 conference schools plus 2 strong group of 5 teams. I see them finishing at 7-5 or 6-6 this season.
Okay.
Yes.
I can dig on that. That's not bad.
Yes.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
Yeah, man.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you have one more team for us, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, it is the big one. It's the big one. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Yeah, they finished 10-3 last year. They almost could have had a undefeated regular season. Losing 22-21 at Clemson and 36-38 at Stanford last year. Before they got towards 44-28 to Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day. But man, they had an incredible season. They could have honestly went undefeated before that game. Probably could have made a playoff. Okay. Probably could have competed for the national championship. Yeah, but I want to talk about this offense. I'm going to dissect it a little bit. Deshaun Kaiser and Malik Zaire were compete for the starting quarterback job. Mm-hmm. Kaiser played really well after Zaire was hurt in the second game last season. Led the team to the Fiesta Bowl, going 7-1 last 8 games. Terran Folston and Josh Adams returned as well. Adams set the Notre Dame single season freshman record with 835 yards and 7.1 average yards per game. Torrey Hunter Jr., the son of Torrey Hunter, former Minnesota Twins.
Crazy that guy's the junior and his dad has the same name as him.
Yeah. Torrey Hunter. Yeah, the son of Torrey Hunter Sr., the former Minnesota Twins outfielder, is now the top pass catcher with Will Fuller, now in the NFL. So, that I think he can lead a solid core of young receivers there. The defense, departures of Jalen Smith and Joe Smith are key losses in the linebacker core. And a defense as well.
Yeah.
Defense as well. And as well as defensive end, Romeo Arcara, tackle Sheldon Day, cornerback Canvorier Russell, and strong safety Elijah Samut. Yes. Those are very key losses there. D end Isaac Rochelle. Nose tackle Jaron Jones. Jerry Tillery.
Oh, I was like Jerry Chili.
Oh, did I? Oh.
No, I'm saying that's what I thought. I was like, that's quite a name.
Jerry Tillery. And pass rusher Andrew Trombetti return. And the back seven features little experience beyond, Cole Luke at cornerback. Sean Crawford is returning after missing 2015 with a torn ACL.
Okay.
So the key for this team is the defense, with so many key losses. Key losses. And if the offense can play well as they did last year, and under Kaiser or Zaire,
Zahir
or Kaiser, whoever starts under center, I think they're a 10-win team. Whoever starts, they're a 10-win team. 10-win team again, and I have them finishing at 10-2, but they can honestly go 8-4, because you never know with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish with this team heading into this season. So that is my analysis.
I like it. That was good.
Fighting Irish, yeah.
Okay, well, those are your 4 teams. So we're going to take one more break here, and then when we come back, and I'll give you pretty much. I'm going to focus a lot on the schedules heading in, what they had and what they might have, in terms of a record next year. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do that back to back. So
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Dude, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll take our last break. Take a last break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
What's up? All right, we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and I'm just going to get a little bit into the schedules ahead of some of these teams coming into the 2016 football year. We did say that a lot of these teams had pretty tough schedules, not to mention Notre Dame, who I'm going to start with first. Notre Dame's going to start their year out at Texas against the Longhorns before moving to Nevada, and I believe the Texas game actually got moved to AT&T Stadium as well in Dallas.
Yeah, so I think it did, yeah.
So September 4th, they'll be playing them. Neutral site game, even though, it's, Notre Dame, when you're playing in Texas, it's probably still more heavy Texas fans. But the stretch in the beginning is good and bad in terms of tough teams, and then a little easier, I guess, in the sense of competitive.
Nevada's a winnable game.
Nevada's a winnable game, but Nevada's also a good team.
They are.
So it's going to depend on how the turnaround looks. But then they have Michigan State.
That's their first tough test of the season there.
That's their toughest test up to that game.
Yeah,
I would say Texas
so
can be a tough game, but up to that point, Michigan State's going to be a tough game. And then they go a couple games in a row where they have Duke and they have Syracuse, which should be very winnable games for a team like Notre Dame that's coming in having won 10 games last year and being kind of the favorite, of course, to win the Independents. I guess if you look at it that way, be the best team of the Independents again this year. And then they have NC State to finish off that 3-game stretch before playing what should be a tough game at home against Stanford.
Yeah, it's always a tough game for them.
Mm-hmm. Saturday night game.
It's actually one of my favorite matchups to watch in college football.
It was a good game last year.
It was.
Yeah, it's a Saturday night game under the lights at home for Notre Dame in South Bend. It's going to be a pretty solid game.
They lost by 2 points last year, like I previously said. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could have easily won that game as well.
Oh, yeah, that was a killer game.
And
then we come off of a bye week in late October there on the 22nd to a pretty heavy stretch of home games for them. They have 4 of 5 games at home. They play Miami, obviously Florida, Miami, the Hurricanes they play, and then they go Navy, Army, Virginia Tech. All games they should win.
But, those Navy and Army games are always – They compete well against Notre Dame.
The Army game is the Shamrock Series game.
The Navy, they compete well.
Yeah.
The thing I'm looking at their schedule is they have 5 straight home games from October 15th to November 19th. Literally a whole month.
Excluding their bye week. Yeah, they have a whole month of home games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they have –
So they have that going for them.
As I look through their schedule in general, they only have 4 away games.
Yeah, so this is why I think they're going to be 10-2 again because the schedule
10-3 they went last year, but I think that
they
includes
10-2 in regular season. Yeah, in regular season.
Regular season.
Season.
All right, Cesar Chavez.
But yeah, when I'm looking up and down at their schedule here, most of the home games are winnable except for the Michigan State, Stanford, are probably their 2 toughest games they have all year. Mm-hmm. Texas. That one's going to be tough, but they could honestly win that game.
Well, what I look forward to most is what I look forward to every year with this matchup is USC.
Yes.
Notre Dame.
Love that matchup.
At SC in the LA Memorial Coliseum in LA. It's November 26th, last game of the year. It should probably more likely be a night game. It hasn't been announced yet, but that game's going to be a tough one. That fight is always tough. Notre Dame USC. That is always a tough matchup.
These teams always play each other very well every year.
Yeah, I could definitely see them going 10-2 again. I think Michigan's going to be a tough game. I think Stanford and I think SC are going to be their tough games, so we'll see how that shapes out for them. I could see them going 10-2 for sure. Moving on to BYU. And BYU, like you said, does have a very tough schedule, arguably the toughest schedule in the program to date.
Yes.
New coach Kalani Sitake does inherit a good program, but they have a tough schedule.
Very tough schedule.
It's surprising, not surprising fact, but not a fact you hear all the time. They've won at least 8 of their games a season for the last 10 seasons.
Yeah, I have read that. Yes,
that's impressive,
including last season as well.
Yeah, which is weird because I guess they're trying to take the next step.
Well, they want to join a Power 5 conference. They have that desire, and like I previously said earlier in the show, if they compete well against all this schedule, they can honestly do it.
Yeah,
they can honestly do it. I wouldn't be surprised if they join the Big 12.
Yeah.
After this season.
Well, the tough thing, so we did look at the schedule. Something we didn't mention is we did say the first 3 games are against Pac-12 opponents in Arizona, Utah, and UCLA. Then they play West Virginia, and then they have a break in terms of a necessarily competitive game, I guess, with Toledo. Should win that game. But then they play Michigan State.
Yeah.
Followed right by Mississippi State. Followed by Boise State.
3 straight tough games right there. Boise State is,
2 of which are away.
Yes. Boise State playing in that stadium is always tough.
Yeah, it's
Michigan
the turf.
Michigan State, that's always a tough game for anybody to play in on the road.
Yeah. They come off a bye week, too.
And Mississippi State, that's also a really tough game.
Yeah, they lost Dak Prescott, but that's going to be a tough game for BYU.
That's an SEC opponent right there.
Exactly, yeah. And they come off a bye week, and they play Cincinnati, the Bearcats. And then this isn't a tough game, if you ask me.
Southern Utah, FCS, Big Sky. Yeah, that should be a winnable game. They should win that game.
I would say the Southern Utah Thunderbirds. That's one of my favorite mascots in football.
I know. I remember I used to cover the Big Sky. I used to like calling them the T-Birds, but everyone else didn't like that because, of course, we were a Sac State affiliate publication.
Yeah. I
had to write Thunderbirds. I was like, oh, man, come on, really? I can't have any fun? All right, whatever.
No fun. And then they finished the season off with UMass and Utah State. It's tough in the sense of a heavy front-loaded schedule.
Yeah.
I think they can definitely do well. I think 9-4 is definitely achievable again, if you ask me. Personally,
I think they're gonna I think 7-5 is more.
Yeah, I'd say it might take a little bit of step back. Those are some tough games there in the beginning. UCLA, that's gonna be a tough win. Arizona plays good games. West Virginia is gonna be a tough win, and Michigan State's gonna be real tough. So interesting to see how that shapes out. Now we move on to the Army Black Knights. They do have a pretty solid schedule, but it's
pretty soft.
It's a typical
compared to all the other schedules in
typical Army. Yeah, they have the Temple Owls, the Rice Owls, back to back.
Owls.
Yeah, and then UTEP and Buffalo, 4 teams that that's about Army's level of competition, if you ask me. But they don't really have many heavy games to play. They do play Notre Dame, November 12th. They will be playing them at home in the Alamo Dome.
And, of course, they play Navy to end off the season, which is always a competitive game for these 2 teams.
Exactly.
It's a big rivalry.
Yeah, they have Wake Forest to play as well. But, yeah, they have Air Force, and then they end the game on end the year against Navy.
Yeah.
So it should be I think they'll take a big step forward this year, honestly. I do. I think they have a lot of pieces in place to have a better year than last year when they won only 2 games. So I could see them going, 500. I could see them getting up there.
Yeah, 6-6, eligible for a bowl game. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, bowl eligible is reasonable. All right, then we look at UMass to end it off. Like we said, 3-9. It was in the MAC conference last year. They have a pretty tough schedule. They have 3 SEC teams, 6 road games, 4 different time zones. Like you said, they start the year off against Florida, go to Boston College. They have Mississippi State 2 weeks later. They play Louisiana Tech. They play South Carolina, who used to be a pretty heavy-duty team. End the year against BYU and Hawaii. I think they're going to have a hard year.
Yeah, they're going to have a very difficult year. Yeah.
And for a team that's for a school that's looking for a new conference,
if this team goes 500, it's a good season for him. Great season.
Yeah, and you talked about only 3 starters returning to the offense. All the stuff in detail that we went into. This is going to be a tough year for them. I think it's
looking very ugly for the Minutemen here, and if they happen to surprise me, then
then
I'll
you'll
be
be
shocked.
surprised.
I'll be surprised and shocked. Be like,
If they
okay.
surprise you, you'll be surprised.
I'll be surprised.
There you go, man. But
There's
yeah,
no other way-
I
there's
think
no
they
other way
take a little.
There's no other way I could have put that.
That's very
But yeah.
true. I think they have about the same type of years they had prior last year. I think it's going to be real tough for them
I think
to do
the
same kind of thing, you know?
They're gonna have the same record, but their year is gonna be a lot more tougher because they were competitive in some games last year.
Uh-huh.
I don't see them being competitive in most of these games that they're playing in.
Yeah, same here.
So it's gonna be the same season, but a lot tougher.
Yeah, I'm with you. But that's it for our Independence, our FBS Independence Conference preview. We have another preview coming to you this week on Thursday. That's going to be our Mountain West preview.
Yes, we're going to step out of the Power 5 and give you a Group of 5 conference.
Mainly because this is a heavy conference. You know, there's
It's heavy conference.
a lot of
It's
notable
very
teams in there. Yeah,
very
exactly.
competitive.
We want to help you guys out.
Exactly.
So we'll get into that. But we're going to end our episode here today by saying you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the GSMC_football podcast, as well as on Facebook if you search the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. You can find us on YouTube if you search that same name. And you can find us on our website, gsmcpodcast.com, with our shows. My show, Jeremiah, and I do football. Of course, his show is baseball. I have sports, I have soccer, and all the wonderful shows on our network. You can find us on SoundCloud, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Apple, which would be iTunes, and then Google Play.
Why the heck did you say Apple?
Guys, I say Google Play, and I don't know why Apple just got in my head. Maybe it's because I'm hungry.
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah, man, do something to eat, man. Come on.
Yeah, let's get something to eat. All right. So that is all I have to say today, Jeremiah. We have anything you want to say before we go?
Nah, man. I'm ready to bounce like a bunny.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, we thank you guys for listening to our podcast. As always, I am Alex.
And I'm Jeremiah. And see you guys next time. Or you see us. Whatever. How that works out.
You might see us.
Maybe. All right.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right. Have a good day, y'all.